of the right and the left who had some very extreme positions, both on economic and on political military issues. For example, Die Linke, the left party, which got below the 5% threshold and will not be represented in the parliament, was actually calling for Germany to leave NATO. So I think we are now running from center-left through the center to center-right. There are differences of opinion, certainly on spending, on what the Germans call the debt brake, how big.
Bloomberg Wall Street Week premieres Friday with replays all weekend on Bloomberg Television and Radio.
The following is a paid program. The opinions and views expressed do not reflect those of Bloomberg LP, its affiliates, or its employees.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. PetVivo is an emerging biomedical device company focused on the licensing and commercialization of innovative medical devices for pets. And with me is CEO John Lai. John, welcome.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Finally in person.
We've talked on Zoom so many times. And you just had a major milestone, uplisting PetVivo to the NASDAQ. You've also got a new CFO, NASDAQ season. Talk to me about all these things that PetVivo has been doing lately.
Yeah, it's been an exciting 30, 40 days here. You know, we've gotten the uplift, we got tremendous more visibility, and our website has picked up tremendously in terms of viewerships. We have a very seasoned CFO. He was with another medical device company where it grew from 10 million market cap to 1.6 billion, beat 11 straight consecutive earnings estimates by Wall Street. So that's always a good sign to get somebody as seasoned as that.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been working in osteoarthritis for a number of years with canine, horses as well. What exactly is that? Explain that, and how's your treatment different?
Sure. So osteoarthritis is the wearing away of the cartilage. It degrades over time. It doesn't get any better. And what happens is when it starts to wear away, you get bone-on-bone contact. With that bone-on-bone contact, you get inflammation and pain. And it's a very large problem for dogs and horses. Our treatment is quite different in the approach. We identify that the bone-on-bone contact is the major cause, so we inject our particles in, which is naturally derived, and it's basically collagen, elastin, heparin, building blocks or structure of cartilage and tissue. So once it's injected into the joint, it acts and provides cushion between the bones. And given that the particles are wet and lubricious, it actually lubricates and keeps the joint cool, what natural cartilage would be doing. Yeah, so all the competitors are just focusing on symptoms, masking symptoms. How do I create a better NSAID? Because that's the gold standard treatment. You give a pill once or twice a day, and the dog doesn't feel any pain. And I would argue it actually leads to further damaging of the cartilage, because a dog, if they feel pain, they won't jump. In certain situations, they'll jump when they don't feel the pain.
And the bones are still rubbing together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're actually fixing. Now, is that the spring treatment that I see on your website?
Yes.
So that's it. Okay.
Yes.
So, and that's basically what makes you different than other treatments.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it spring with osteocushion technology. The osteocushion are the particles, and those particles have many applications for both humans and animals.
Now, how big of a problem is this for animals?
Well, in the United States, the market size is about 4.8 billion actually, and growing at 7% a year. So in terms of dogs, you're probably looking at 14, 15 million dogs a year that will have it. For horses, it's probably close to 1 million horses. So the population for dogs in the United States is about 65 million. And horses about 7.2 million.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like people are getting more animals.
Yes.
Adopted, especially during the pandemic, but even before that, like the pet industry was growing so much, so that you would kind of grow along with that, I would think.
Yeah, so, the demographic drivers in the marketplace are that less and less people are getting married, less and less people are having children, so their pets become their children, and it's called the humanization of the family pet.
The pet parent.
So they become part of the family, and people will spend whatever it takes to improve the quality of life of their pet, just like with their children.
Sure.
And you see that in the increase of per spending. So in 2012, when a pet owner decided the dollar amount they would end treatment would be about $1,700 in 2012. Today's $10,700 is a dollar threshold before they tell the vet, I don't want to provide any more treatment.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, I don't happen to have a pet.
Okay.
I would love one, but that's another story. But so what if I did and it was aging? Like, what would be the first steps I would take with your company?
Sure. Basically, the first point of diagnosis, the consumer will see the mobility of the animal diminish, the dog, and then they take it into the vet, and the vet generally will do a mobility test or do x-rays, and then they'll be able to identify, hey, the dog has osteoarthritis, the cartilage is wearing away, and you would ask the vet, what are my treatment options, and they generally would say, let's start an NSAID. But, we're providing something probably costing about the same over an annual basis, something that doesn't have the negative side effects, but actually ends up providing pretty much instantaneous mobility increase and quality of life increase for the animal.
And would you ever have the opportunity to take this beyond dogs and horses?
Yes, so we were initially funded by NIH and DOD. So a lot of the work was done on the human side, and that's how we got into the animal side. Is when I joined the company, I said, we have a unique opportunity here that the FDA has declared our product as a device on the animal side, so we can go right in, on the human side, excuse me. So we can go right into the animal side without pre-clearance by the FDA. So we were able to commercially go right into the marketplace.
Yeah. Just real quick, does pet insurance cover this?
Yeah, it has been because we're declared as a veterinary device.
Okay.
And most insurance will cover devices.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So now you've had multiple press releases lately about some personnel, new distribution partner on the East Coast. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So, after we got on NASDAQ with the capital raise, we're utilizing that capital to bring all the pieces together to really help the company grow at a very fast rate. We brought in a national sales manager national sales by the name of Mark Middleton. He's got over 30 years of experience. In his last company, he took to 800 million in sales in the veterinary space. And then we brought in Russ Sicko, who was in marketing pretty high up at Pfizer Animal Health.
Okay.
So he's got over 30 years experience in marketing in veterinary devices. So we brought him in, and then to shore up the manufacturing, we brought in Josh Wilhelm. He's got years of experience with medical device manufacturing and high volume. And he knows the materials really well because that was his background in biomaterials. His last position was with a subsidiary of Boston Scientific.
Okay.
And we hired actually 3 additional production people to support him. So from a ramp-up standpoint, we can scale probably for the next 3 to 5 years of whatever forecast we have in terms of production needs.
So it sounds like you're doing kind of both the research on the devices, but then also some marketing too. You kind of need go both at the same time.
Yeah, well, the device side actually was to strengthen the manufacturing because Josh is an expert on high volume manufacturing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And scaling something.
So. Yeah, because, we know with scientists and so on, they know how to make this stuff, but they don't know how to scale. You know, that's where you have to bring in the production people, and Josh is definitely a production expert.
So what's next for PetVivo?
We're, you know, the partnership with RAC providing distribution in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania will allow us to really speed up the adoption process with the veterinary doctors. Our Colorado State study is a little bit delayed because of COVID. They're sitting on the campus and people can't bring their dogs on, but we believe that's short term, and we'll have other studies commissioned. So the reason for those studies is more for marketing, because we already have no requirements for FDA. And we've done human studies on safety and everything, so it's way beyond what you would do for your animals. But when you're dealing with big organizations, corporate-owned veterinary clinics, they have a legal team that says, check the box for an animal study. And I said, well, we have a human study, which is so much more extensive and severe. They go, well, you know, we just have to have that. So that's why we're doing that.
Yeah, got it. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in, and great to hear about PetVivo and all your success. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jane. It's a real pleasure.
Okay, and thank you as well. We'll be back.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Secure is a product from GlobeX Data that has a different way of approaching cybersecurity. And with me is the CEO, Alon Gahi, to explain Secure and GlobeX Data. Welcome, Alon. Great to see you again.
Great to see you, Jane. Thanks for having me, and hello to our viewer out there.
So let's start with the 30,000-foot view. Tell me about the company, the products, and then we'll dig a little deeper in exactly what you're trying to do.
Sure. So GlobeX Data SA is a private Swiss company started by myself. I'm the largest shareholder of that company, myself being a Swiss citizen as well. We started in 2007, 2008, and started to create a product which now is essentially called Secure Suite. It's a document management tool. It has an email. The data is all hosted in Switzerland. We use proprietary technology, and we don't use any big tech platform, which is a huge thing. In 2012, we spun off a US division, GlobeX Data Inc. We even had Comcast as clients who were on their first cloud platform. And in 2019, we created our Canadian division, which essentially did a microcap IPO in July 2019. And in October 2019, we got listed on the OTCQB under ticker SWISF, SWISF. So this is kind of the general picture of the company. Management has a 35% ownership, which is a very large ownership for a public company. So we definitely have the interests of all shareholders at hand.
Okay. And then we're focusing on the Secure product today, the suite of products. Go into a little bit more depth about what all you offer with Secure.
So Secure, spelled SEKUR, is a solution that offers secure communication. We have a Secure, which is an email and messenger. We have Secure Messenger, which is just a messaging app. And we're also launching Secure Voice at the end of this year, 2021, and Secure Pro in Q1 of 22, which will be a replacement to Zoom. So what's very particular about what we do is the following. First of all, we use proprietary technology. We don't use open source coding. That is huge because 99% of the software uses open source coding, and it has now reached its limit of advantages because hackers are getting into those right now. We also store our data only in Switzerland. So that's also nice because Switzerland has the highest data privacy laws in the world, the strictest. And we also do not host anything on big tech platform. We have our own. So we also protect our users from any kind of intrusive laws. So that's critical. So Secure is only $10 a month. You get a nice email, 100 gigabyte of storage. You can also email and message non-secure user, guaranteeing you and the recipient a round-trip communication in full privacy. The difference in what we do is that we communicate throughout our secure server environment in Switzerland, as opposed to sending information back and forth over the internet. So we don't have business email compromise, we don't have man-in-the-middle attack, and these kind of hacks that you read about every day all over.
Every day. And that's a key thing, is that you can use a secure product, but the person you're communicating with does not need to have it in order for you to communicate and for it to be secure. Correct.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to communicate with my stockbroker, for example, and I need them to wire money in my bank account. Typically, a person would email, even if they have the best email in their office. When the email leaves their server, it becomes unprotected. And this is how hackers can get in. They read and scan the documents, they read everything, and now they have your bank account information, and they can even go in and take money out. There's been many articles published about bank accounts being emptied by hackers. Whereas with us, we use our technology called Secure Send. My broker can open it, and then they can secure reply, and the whole thing happens only within our secure Swiss environment. So, and they don't need to have the application at all. And we do the same with instant messaging, where we basically send a message to someone via an email, and then they click and they chat with us directly. It opens this closed loop pipeline.
And that's the key thing, is that you don't use like the biggies, like the Amazon Web Services. You touched on it a little bit, but that's really kind of your secret sauce, right?
Yes, we actually have a few layers of secret sauce. So one of them is the infrastructure. That is massive. So we don't use the big tech like Amazon Web Service, Microsoft or Google Cloud, and so forth. Most companies, even the private ones, they have no choice. They go to Amazon Web Service. We also don't require you to put your phone number when you register to our service and download the app, because the minute you give your phone number away in a messaging application, hackers can get into your device, and they also can get into all your contacts, because people synchronize their contact and upload all their contacts. So we have a thing called secure number. It's like the old Swiss bank account number 50 years ago, where you had this secret bank account information. And here it's a secure number as opposed to your real phone number. So you get anonymity, privacy, security, and nobody can get in like that because they don't even know you're using it.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned that we read about a hack literally every day. How big is the market for secure?
We've done some research, and a while back we found that, first of all, according to the World Economic Forum, which is held in Davos, Switzerland every year, the cybersecurity is costing the global economy $7 trillion a year. That's quite a lot in real damage and lack of productivity. The market for cybersecurity, which is a very vast sector, it could be from hardware to software, is about $500 billion a year. So it's a big market, 500 billion. Some of that is email, some of that is machines, some of that is communication. Definitely we can take a slice out of that.
Well, and I imagine it's just a growing market too. I mean, it feels like the hackers are always out there and outsmarting us and getting in there. So it seems like it's a huge growth industry.
Well, we basically rely on data for everything now. So if you want to sell a product, you're going to basically buy some data and target people based on that data. Data is everywhere. It's the new oil, essentially. And we create new data every month, and everything, even your thermostat has a data right now. So it's going to get much worse. It's an exponential problem. And the big issue is because way back when everybody started to develop these cloud platforms that were free and easy to use, namely the big tech platform, now we see the other side of the coin, the more negative side, the weakness, and that's where all the hackers get in.
So what are your plans then for growth in the next 12 to 18 months?
Great. So we just raised about $5 million this month through a private placement. We have about $7 million plus in the bank. We have no debt. We have plenty of cash to execute our marketing plan. Our focus right now is to push heavily in the US. So we started with what we call a mass market. It's doing really well. Now we're going into businesses because businesses will be able to have their email domain hosted with us. We're also going to have some very unique advertising campaigns that we're doing. I'm going to say it now because by the time this gets published, it'll be out. We just rented the biggest electronic board on the NASDAQ building. So we're very excited. You know, we've done a lot of investment in New York. We have about 200 electronic panels in the subway and so forth. So the plan is to keep pushing this and really grow into businesses and so forth in the US in the next 18 months in a very aggressive way.
Well, very exciting to see your brand and to see it on the NASDAQ. And I've seen it in the subway and on television. And you really have made a commitment to New York City in terms of advertising, hiring, expanding. Talk to me about that a little bit.
New York City is one of the centers of the world. And we really believe in the city. I mean, if you're established in New York, which is a financial center and the economic center of the U.S., essentially, you know, you can spread from there. So we're spending a lot of money hiring media company, hiring people, spending money in New York and making New York our base in the U.S. And we actually, down the road, we would like to eventually uplist our stock to the NASDAQ exchange. That is our plan in the next couple years. So we have a lot of faith in New York. We want to support New York. New York has suffered lately through the COVID economic crisis and so forth. And we really believe in the city. I think the city is going to come back in a big way in the coming years. And we want to be there before everybody else comes. That's the idea. So you want to be there when nobody wants to. And then once you're there, you're entrenched. And that's what we're doing. We have Newsmax, the NASDAQ board, the subways. So we're excited. In the next couple of years, we're going to grow exponentially. I think the next few quarters, where we're looking at it the other day, we're going to grow at high double-digit per quarter over the next 3 years. And we're going to be very aggressive to push that.
Okay. Well, this is certainly an important and growing industry as we go forward with more digitization of the world. So thank you so much, Alain, for coming and explaining Secure and GlobeX data.
You're welcome. It's all digital, and we never data mine you. That's important to know.
Thank you. We're back with SpotemonGo CEO Rick Jackson to tell us about some updates. And Rick, I understand you had kind of an exciting thing. SpotemonGo was a major sponsor for the Jake Paul Woodley fight. Can you tell me about that? I mean, that was huge pay-per-view, right? With the biggest so far this year. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. You know, they were saying it'd probably be one of the biggest, but I heard the figures that it was the biggest.
Okay.
And so to be on the canvas and sponsoring the Ring Girls for such a major event that, you know, went to millions and millions of homes was quite fantastic.
And then you've also been on an impressive list with some big stars as well. Talk about that and all these exciting things that you have going on.
Yeah, so we've hit the ground running, and I'm lucky I've got 30 years worth of business experience and credentials and networks, and so through that we've been able to get to lots of meetings, and Corey's been in the US based, and he's met with Manny Pacquiao and Wilder and Top Ring Boxing, and then of course that led to the opportunity to sponsor Showtime pay-per-view, and we're very happy that that's exposed our brand to the global market now.
Yeah, no, that's huge. What do you dislike about doing these deals, signing players, working on teams for the app? I mean, how does the whole process work, and what do you like and not like about it?
Well, I think Corey's got the fun part because he goes to all the red carpet events in the front row at the ringside and, gets the photo with the stars. And I do all the contracts and sit at home in COVID lockdown. So he's definitely got the best part of it. But look, there is some challenges with travel during these times. And actually, Corey would have been here today, except he's probably been caught up in that. But we've been doing this for a long time, so we understand that negotiation can take time, and it's got to be a win for both parties. And sometimes it just doesn't work out for that one time. But if you have good relations, then there's always down the road, and that's always worked pretty well for us.
Yeah, no, that's actually excellent advice for anybody in business, because timing may not be right at that particular time, but if you have a good experience, it may make sense later down. So I think that's absolutely good advice. So now when people typically would go to a sporting event, there'd be a collectible. Do you plan on getting into anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the sport, we're looking at things like game day minting. So when you go to an event, you'll get a special NFT for that day, and you can only get it for that day. And so it may be available at the physical stadium, or it may be from your lounge room, watching Showtime or ESPN or one of those major sports networks. But it's only available for a short time, and we call that a limited mint period. And the moments, the magic moments and memories that are created on that day, captured in NFT, only available for a short time, straight into our app or on our website.
Ah, what an interesting way to use NFTs. Well, thank you, Rick, for coming back. Always interesting and fun to talk about your business.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions and views expressed do not reflect those of Bloomberg LP, its affiliates, or its employees.
What Bitcoin does is it moves this idea to the digital world and updates it such that money can evolve from 1781's vision to a digital version of today